Hello, my loves. Welcome to 2024. Okay, so this is your January soul message, but it's going to be a little bit longer. So pull up a chair, hang out, get comfortable, because we got to talk about the year energy also. So a couple dates to start with for events, just so you've got those on your calendar. This Friday, the first Friday of the month, January 5th, I am doing an extra intuitive collage, and this one is going to be for our word of the year. And we're beginning a new book. So if you have seen or not seen that I teach intuitive collage, we do it together in community on or around every new moon of the year. And so this year we started and we have an entire book for the whole year, and it was so beautiful. So we do intuitive collage on the new moon together. And then some people in the group, myself included, choose to do one on the full moon as well. And I also do one for the month for the energy. So that's available to you. So we're doing an extra one for the word of the year. And if you don't have a word of the year, let me know. Perhaps maybe I'll even publish the meditation that I did on YouTube or somewhere so that people can get it to help them. I did an in-person event here with that, and it was really cool. And then we'll do regular new moon collage on January 12th. And then we're doing Women's Circle on February 2nd this time, because I'm out of town the last couple weeks of the month, so I won't be here for that. So we'll do Women's Circle on the 2nd. So we have 2 collages in January, Women's Circle February 2nd. So those are my events going on. Oh, also I just posted yesterday, I did a live on Instagram about my Oracle pull of the year. If you've never done one of those, it's part of my annual practice. I do it every January 1st. It's my favorite thing. And I go over the whole thing, how to do that. So if you're interested in that, look for my Instagram at double.magenta. Okay, so let's break it down. Let me first say January soul message is called Let It Burn. And I'll get into the individual January energy, but first we're going to talk about the year. So very first, numerology for the year is an 8. You add all the numbers together, 2 + 2 + 4. So we're an 8 year this year. And what's significant about that in sacred geometry, when you get to 6, it becomes a wheel. So you start to move. And then a 7 year, in my summation, is you're adding one more dot. And so the wheel gets a little bit clunky. And then when you add an 8th, it starts to smooth out and spin more beautifully and more fluidly. But more important than that is that 8 is the strength card in the tarot. And so that's the year that we are going to have. And so if you're not familiar with the strength card, it is a woman holding open a lion's mouth. She has a figure 8 above her head horizontally, so like the infinity symbol. She's wearing a white robe, which symbolizes purity, and it's covered in flowers, which symbolizes nature. And so this card is one, it's kind of like a koan to meditate on and to look into, you know, even throughout the year, to come back with it. But the question that I always ask myself when I look at this is, you know, there's definitely a relationship happening between the two. And when you look at it, you ask, okay, is the lion allowing her to hold its mouth open? The lion could easily devour her. Is she pulling the mouth open? Or is she, you know, it appears to be gentle, because you couldn't pull a lion's mouth open, right? So there's a relationship happening here. And then the next question is the lion an expression of herself, of her own innate nature and her animalistic nature, and of a balancing of that energy? And I feel like that's where the strength comes from. It's like, it's this internal strength that is commanding energy, not demanding energy. And they have a different tone. And because they have a different tone, they have a different result. And so that's something to just kind of think about and feel into. So that alone, looking at the year, feels like, okay, this is going to be a real opportunity for us to witness, see, experience, express, and lean into our own internal strengths. And yes, you know, you could look at it as strength training, physical, and there can be external strengths, but to me, it feels more like the internal strengths. It's the, You know, I don't want to exercise, but I want the result of exercising, so I'm going to do it anyways. I don't want to do this, that, or the other thing in my business, but I want the result of it, so I'm going to do it anyways. It's that kind of stuff. Okay, astrologically, very big things happening. So in the blog on my website, I didn't even mention Mercury retrograde, but it ended January 1st. But remember, and when I say ended, it went direct. Remember that there are 2 weeks of integration. So really the integration phase is going to complete right before right before Pluto goes into Aquarius on January 20th. And this is what is so incredibly significant about that energy. So Pluto is the planet of transformation. It, you know, I want to say dictates, but the planets don't dictate anything. They are expressing what's already happening. It's like a mirror of energy. And it has been in Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So I talked about this in December, but can you think of anything else that happened in 2008? And so that whole period of time, the last 15 years, has been about, you know, in Capricorn, it's been more about money and finance and success and all the kind of external things. But here's what's really interesting about what we're about to experience here. I just find this completely wild. So it's going to move into Aquarius, which is the sign of energy. And it's the sign of uniqueness, your own unique expression. So whereas Capricorn might be more capitalism and the status quo and going with the system and or being caught up in a system that you didn't create. And then Aquarius is more about the unique expression, the individual. And so for me, when I look at this, it's going from corporate to entrepreneur. And I think it's going to be really interesting. I have been seeing for a long time that, feeling the last couple of years, that there's going to be this massive bloom of entrepreneurs coming through, especially since COVID. But I think it's going to be happening even more this year with this Pluto transit moving into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is not an insignificant thing. It does retrograde May 2nd to October 12, and it's going to go back into Capricorn. So what's interesting is from now until May 2nd, we're going to have this experience of Pluto being in Aquarius. It's more free, it's more expressive. It kind of has the vibe of, you know, I can't remember exactly what I said in the blog, but something about like, you know, putting your work life together in a unique way is the new black. Like people piecing it together. And you can see it already happening. Tons and tons and tons of entrepreneurs are starting to show up. And people are making money in all kinds of different ways, and they're putting 20 different pieces together and making that their work. So we're already trying to see it, or already starting to see it. But what's interesting is then when it goes retrograde back into Capricorn, it's like, you know, we're going back into that energy, and I feel like it's gotta only be so that we can clean up any last pieces that, you know, lessons that we didn't learn, or things that may be good from that cycle that we forgot about. We want to bring it forward with us, and it's kind of like a final washing of the system. And then once we move after October 12th, then Pluto will be in Aquarius until November of 2043. So this is not an insignificant thing, as I said. Pluto is also about where we have lost power and where we are to take it back. So for me, I feel like that's part of this entrepreneurial thing. And people just pivoting. One of my teachers says, always pivot to your preference. It's like, that's what we're going to be seeing more and more and more of, because people are tired of the status quo. They're not being fed by the machine of capitalism and corporations anymore. And they want the freedom that comes with working for yourself and having that kind of fluidity. Okay, let me just check my notes. Okay, I talked about Mercury. That's not too much going on. That's already kind of done, and I talked about it. Okay, January. Let's just talk about the month in general here, okay? So the theme that I was given is let it burn. And what I'm gathering from this is we have a buildup of old debris. specifically from 2020, but even before that, of old ways of being, ways that we have collected, that we've identified with, that we thought were us, and they really aren't. And Spirit is wanting us to start seeing our own uniqueness and our own magic and our own evolution, and really realizing and becoming who we are here to be. And the last 4 years specifically, I realized the other day that I have always, I keep relating to it as the last 3 years, because we think 2023, okay, from 2020, but it's 2020, 21, 22, and 23. So we have a full 4 years in this crazy energy, and so much transformation, and the whole world getting kind of churned up. Like I keep visualizing like a rototill going through and just churning up the earth. And that's like churning up the status quo and where we've been and who we used to be and everything. So all that soil is now soft and fresh, and also we have a ton of debris that has collected that needs to burn off. And so I think in the blog, one of the visualizations that I suggested is every time you come across something that you need to let go of, and this can be physical things, like for sure it's time to Marie Kondo your life, but it feels more internal to me. And so when there's patterns or things that you know you don't want to be relating to anymore, like visually imagine yourself tossing it into the fire and letting it go. So there's the burning of the old and letting go of all of that. And that feels positive. That feels like it would be good. Of course you want to let go of old stuff. But there is grief inherent in this also, because there's a waking up that's happening around this piece of where we've lost our power. And so to me, it's like we're starting to wake up to our own uniqueness and our beauty and our gifts. And specifically empaths, I'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about the things to focus on this month. But, you know, we've given a lot of our power up, and there's this way that we are taking it back now. And once you start to see that something you believed that you thought was absolutely true isn't true, and then you start unpacking that, there's a beauty in it, in the waking up, and there's a beauty in the truth. But then there's also a grief in letting go of what you thought it was, and also all the beauty and magic that you already missed because you were believing something that wasn't true. And I think inherent, gosh, it makes me emotional even thinking about it, but I think part of this Aquarius piece is, Aquarius is also the humanitarian. And so there's a way that collectively we have really disregarded people. And there's more and more and more people sleeping on the street than we've ever seen in recorded history that we've been alive, that I remember ever seeing. And it's not just in my city, it's in everyone I talk to. It's a growing problem. And so there's this way that we've left, not only collectively we've left people out, but then it also means that internally we've left parts of ourselves out that we have to integrate back into society. And we have to take responsibility for having done that and apologize and reincorporate those things. And that goes along for the disowned parts of ourselves internally too. And when we do that, there's this kind of reconciliation that happens, and there is grief there because, you know, if you've been hating someone your whole life or hating an internal part of yourself that you thought was so terrible, and then suddenly you realize, oh wow, they're actually a beautiful part of yourself, or they're actually a beautiful person that you just didn't understand, or that is operating from a different belief system than you, and so you just couldn't see eye to eye. And I can't remember who it was. I was trying to tell my husband this the other day. I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert that was talking about being with someone that was passing. And it might have even been her wife. I can't remember, and I'm probably getting this all wrong, but it doesn't even matter who it was. The story was that as this person was passing that was with them, they said it was so easy. The whole thing was so easy. And we miss how easy it is because we overcomplicate everything. And in doing so, in focusing on all the external things and thinking that it's about, you know, the house, the dog, the baby, like building the life, we miss what's happening in the home. We miss what's happening inside of our relationships. We miss the day-to-day beauty and magic. And it feels like that's what we're being called back into, to become aware of. And there is grief in that, you know. It's like getting really close to someone right before they die, and then you've missed being with them, you know, your whole life, or their whole life. And so that's really painful. Okay, one of the other things, let me just check this. Yeah, so part of Pluto in Aquarius is less about money and status, and it's more about how do things feel? What does the vibration of it feel like? What does my home feel like? What do my relationships feel like? You know, okay, it's great if you know, have a nice car and all these things, but it's like, how does it actually make you feel? Do you feel imprisoned by your life, or do you feel free in your life? And how is that expression showing up? So there's a piece of that too. And then one of the biggest kind of truth aha moments that I feel like coming in for all of us is the lie of separation, and the truth that we actually are all connected intimately in spirit, in body, in mind, all these ways. And, you know, I don't know, I wrote about this in the blog, I don't know if that comes from the church, or what, but certainly there is a lesson there about you don't have connection to spirit, to source, to God, to the universe, to a higher wisdom without something outside of you. You know, that's the main lesson that we're taught, is you need something outside of you to have that connection. And we're discovering right now and going forward that that's a big fat lie. We are always connected just for the fact that we're humans. We are also more connected and should be more connected to the 5 children of Mother Earth: humans, plants, animals, minerals, and the ancestors. And, you know, we've, in our infinite wisdom in big cities, separated ourselves from nature, paved everything. We might see the trees, we might connect with, you know, 1 or 2 animals that are in our home, but not really on a larger scale. I don't think about the minerals at all. Probably don't think about the ancestors at all that came before us, that paved the way, that are still here to guide us. And, you know, a lot of times we don't acknowledge our fellow humans either. So there's kind of a coming back to that and realizing that lie, and the lie of separation causes so much pain. It causes us to step away from people. It causes us to feel like we don't belong. It causes us to feel unworthy and unvaluable and all of these really painful things. So I see this sense of community coming back in for all of us. And then the last thing that I want to say about this before I move into the things to focus on this month, the oils in the card, are this kind of sense, and I feel I'm getting more and more clear about these are the people that I am here to support, that I am here to help. But I have been seeing this for, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years, that empaths, sensitives, intuitives, the ones that identify with being kind of cast out of society or feeling like they don't belong, or having been dropped into families that they don't understand and don't understand them. And, you know, I've been seeing for a while but I didn't really fully understand it, honestly, until I was writing the blog for this month. That we are the future, that we are the ones that are going to lead the rebuilding of the new world. And what I discovered as I was writing for this month is that the reason for that is because I just assumed it was because, oh great, you know, we have gifts and tools that the world needs, and we've been kind of cast out or, you know, assumed that was silly or woo-woo or not valuable, or, you know, if it's not making money and a profit on a spreadsheet, you know, it's not valuable. That's kind of the way our society works or has worked. And so I thought it was just, oh, we have gifts to offer now that the world is going to need. And so there's a little bit of a reconciliation in that, where, you know, the ones that have judged us are going to go back on their heels a little bit and recognize, oh, wow, you were full of magic and beauty all this time and I didn't acknowledge it. But what's even more potent than that is that the reason that we are so well prepared for doing that job is because we've been cast out for so long that we are used to living in the shadow. We are used to plunking around in the underworld. We are used to being on a healing journey and diving down in and being unafraid of our shadow because we have had to be for survival. We have had to figure it out, because when the world tells you you're wrong, you go in search of why am I wrong? Why don't I get to be included here? And so we've already done a ton of that excavation work, and we aren't afraid of the underworld. We're not afraid of our shadows. And so we are the perfect ones to shine our flashlights and walk ahead on the path to guide people towards a new way of being that includes compassion and tenderness and love and beauty and magic and intuition and all of the gems that the feminine holds, that is the other part of the greater piece of us, you know, the greater whole that has been cast out. So anyways, I think it's going to be a really beautiful year, not without, you know, challenge, because this was the other thing I was going to say when I was talking about the astrology that I forgot to mention, is that Capricorn and Aquarius are both ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is about karma. It's about, it's the taskmaster, the timekeeper. It is about diligence. It is the one that's not going to let us get out of our lessons. And so we're still going to be, for the next 20 years, in a Saturn-ruled sign. Or Pluto is going to be in a Saturn-ruled sign. And so I think that's important to note, because it doesn't mean like a complete shift of energy, but it also does, because it's a completely different side of how Saturn expresses. And so it's kind of like the external to the internal. And, you know, it's a global vision of what we've been seeing over and over, is like the pendulum swings one way and then it swings the other way. And eventually it's trying to tick back to the middle, where everything and all people get included and integrated back into the whole, including the inner parts of ourselves. All right, so things to focus on this month. Take time for emotion, because a lot of it is going to be coming up, whether you're looking for it or it's looking for you. I feel like it's just going to be a tender time, and just give yourself space to do that. The second one is let it go. Let go of anything that isn't yours, anything that you have no control over, and then let go of some of that too. There is a lot that has been accumulated, and we need to let more and more of it go. Number one, so that we're not holding a bunch of excess crap that we don't need anymore. But number two, because it frees up space for spirit to bring new things to us and to commune with spirit and have that connection. And don't we all want that? Like, even if we don't consciously want that, we all want to feel like we belong and we have worthiness and purpose and all of that. So, and then the third thing is to schedule a goal session with yourself. And part of that is because of the Saturn energy and the way that it's expressing, but also what I didn't mention is this kind of external and internal ping of energy that we're moving with Pluto. There's also a way of it being about masculine and feminine energy and the reintegration of both of those things. And so, you know, we've been a lot in our wounding the last couple of years, and it's time. It feels like part of the sloughing off, part of the burning off is creating structure so that we know where we're going, so that we know who we want to become, who we are becoming, and we have actionable steps of how to get there. And this is something like I have resisted always. I've been doing my business full-time for 6 years, and I've resisted it the whole time. And this year I'm like, okay, I can't avoid this anymore. Because I think what it is that the ways that we have been abused by the system and been kind of imprisoned and held down, I know I personally resist structure because of that, because I want freedom. And so I think it means I don't want to be held down, or I don't want to be, you know, what's the word? Like committed to something that I don't want to follow through with, or that I decide later that I don't want to do. And so I want to keep things fluid and open. Well, that's great. But if you don't have the structure to help you get the things done, it's kind of like, you know, a container, a pitcher of water that just spills all over the table because there's no container for it to be in. So there is a place for divine masculine energy. There is a place for structure. And it's how do you work with the two? How can you create structure so that your life can be more free? It's not the kind of structure that pins you down and holds you down and forces you to do something that you don't want to do. So consider that. Okay, let's talk about the oil, because this is absolutely magical. When I was writing this, I thought for sure the oil is going to be released. Like, how easy, you know, we're letting it burn. We're releasing the old energy. That makes common logical sense, but that is not the oil that came. The oil that came is cedarwood. And at first I was like, wait a minute, and I don't even know if we've had this oil recently, but I was like, why that? And even though I know it's the energy of, it's the oil of community and belonging, it wasn't until I read the whole thing, which I'm going to do right now, so get cozy, because you'll understand why when I get finished. So it's the oil of community. Cedarwood brings people together to experience the strength and value of community. Okay, strength, our card for the year. Those in need of cedarwood struggle to form bonds within social groups. I feel like this is at the heart of what I've been talking about. Like, we have been so burned by the system, and we have told ourselves, and we also have been harmed by individuals. I'm not going to say that hasn't happened, or social groups, or ways that we've been kicked out of it. But that's because of the energy that some of those social groups are holding, which is connected to the old status quo. So it really isn't those individuals rejecting us. It's the pattern of the way the world has been running that is rejecting us. And people that are aligned with that energy that don't realize that that energy isn't serving them. So they're kind of asleep to their own abuse, and then they're abusing other people because of it. All right, so this can often be due to an overdeveloped sense of individuality. So I'm going to read that again. Those in need of cedarwood struggle to form bonds within social groups. This can often be due to an overdeveloped sense of individuality. Rather than allowing themselves to be supported by family, friends, or community, they live by excessive self-reliance. On the other hand, the individual's difficulty forming social roots may also stem from feeling disconnected and separate from the human family. That's what I'm talking about with empaths. Cedarwood inspires the feeling of belonging and assists the heart in opening to receive the love and support of other people. It invites the strong-willed individual to couple the strength of individuality with a supportive power of community. Cedarwood supports individuals in seeing that they are not alone. Life is a shared experience. Cedarwood also assists in opening the awareness of individuals to the support system that is already available to them, such as friends or family that have been overlooked. This is what I'm talking about with that grief of realizing that you actually have more people than you thought you did, but you were looking at it through, you know, the wrong lens, so to speak. Cedarwood supports individuals in seeing, oh wait, I said that, that they are not alone. Wait, did I say that? Okay, Cedarwood supports individuals in seeing that they are not alone. Life is a shared experience. Cedarwood also assists in opening the awareness of individuals to the support system that is already available to them. Okay, I did read that they may have overlooked. It invites individuals to both give and receive, so they may experience the strength of groups and the joy of relationships. And I think one of the really painful patterns of this problem of feeling like you don't belong is it sets up this really painful dynamic of measuring the give and take of relationships, measuring the love, measuring the input that you give. I know I 100% have been caught in this trap of measuring that I've given more than someone else and then thinking that that means that they're bad and wrong, or that the relationship isn't safe or whatever. And that's not necessarily true at all. Maybe I just have more to give, or I have, I don't have the fear around it that someone else does. And so they withhold and I don't understand why. And then I make it about me, and it's not true. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Whatever anyone ever does is always about them, not about you. And it's real easy to say and real hard to put into practice. So a couple other oils from my apothecary oils that I would strongly recommend for this time and for this year going forward. The heart chakra for sure, because we are diving into compassion and like the settling of the mind telling us this is wrong, bad, good, bad, you know, doing all that measuring and judging and manipulation, and we're dropping down into our heart now. So there's grief there, but there's also settling and a balance. Ooh, it's got magnolia in it, which is the oil of compassion. And then I've got two others, planetary ones. Pluto, of course, for the next 20 years, because we're doing all this transformation, taking our power back, finding out where we've let it go, and doing a whole reconciliation from the inside out. So I strongly encourage that. And then the other one, I had not smelled this actually in a while, and I picked it up today to do this, and I thought, oh my God, this oil is amazing. How did I forget about this? Saturn. You know, because we have been in a Saturn-ruled transit, and we're gonna stay in one. And this is all about when to use this would be when you're working on creating that structure for your life and for your year. And putting down, I just got off of a Young Living planning call for this year, and she was talking about, you know, choosing a few goals and then mapping out your year with the quarters, and then mapping out your goals within the quarters, you know, for each month, and then breaking it all the way down to the weeks. And, you know, that isn't to make it hard or boring or to suffocate the magic out of it, which is how I've always seen it. It's actually to help the magic flourish. You know, the feminine is able to move much more fluidly and freely when there is a strong masculine container holding the safety of the room or the space that the feminine is moving in, and helps them feel not alone, and all of that. So, you know, we need each other. Not only physically, but we need each other energetically and emotionally and all of it too. So anyways, all right, let's see what card we're gonna get. I think this is gonna be really interesting because I still have my annual card spread on the floor upstairs, because after I do mine for the year, I like to let it cook on the floor for a little while. So I like to kind of lean into, okay, what is the card of the year telling me? And what is my January card telling me? And kind of just taking a feel and a pulse for the reading as a whole before I put the cards away. So I am doing this reading with this deck with 13 cards missing. So I'm like, Spirit is gonna have to really work at it to get us the right message for January here. All right, so it's gonna be this one. Oh, interesting. Alchemical wedding. If this is not about the left and the right coming together, the masculine and feminine coming together and weaving, and by the way, the snakes are the DNA double helix moving up the spine, Kundalini rising and activating. So let's see what the card actually says, but that's my take by just looking at it real quick. Yeah, I did my card pull, and I'm telling you, you just can't make this shit up. The word of the year that I pulled is 100% in line with the cards that I pulled. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Okay, sorry, I thought I got it, and then I lost it again. Okay, it's called, I don't know how to spell it or pronounce it, but Eros Gamos, Alchemical Wedding. Ritual, celebration, uniting. Okay, one of my friend's words is celebration or celebrate for the year. All hail the alchemical wedding. The laboratory morphs into a dream-like dance floor, and all your allies, fellow alchemists, and ancestors are here to witness the celebration. Are you absolutely kidding me with this? What was once lost has been found. What was once denied has come fully into the alchemist's embrace. This is what I'm talking about, the grief and the heart and the cedarwood. Okay, I'm gonna pause really quick and talk about this cedarwood again really quick, because this is one thing that I have kind of been, I don't know if failing is the right word, but not including about the power of essential oils, okay? Not only is this plant medicine and it helps to attune you to the vibration of the plant, you borrow the nervous system of the plant when you work with essential oils. So whatever the lesson of that oil is, that's what you're giving to your nervous system and upgrading it. But essential oils are also adaptogens. And what that means is that they help bring our fight or flight into balance. They help balance our nervous system and help us adapt to the environment. So this is why I'm so obsessed with them, because they help with all of that, with adjusting to your environment and everything that's happening in the collective. Okay, so back to the card. The work is often felt as serious and studious, but the alchemical wedding is a moment of levity and lightness. When this card arrives, it is of utmost importance to mark the occasion. Jessica, are you listening? Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Honor and acknowledge those who have helped you along the alchemical path. You have come so far. Energy radiates from the uniting of opposites and the redrawing of life's blueprint. I mean, this is exactly where we are. This is exactly what we're doing in this year and in this month. The new form has arrived. The unknown has become known. You'll be back to your existential queries and tinkering ways in no time. Now the work is to revel in the miracles. I can't even handle this. To go deeper, watch the Flaming Lips music video, Do You Realize? To ponder intimacy without sex. That is so cool. In fact, when I did the end of the year release ceremony last week, we did a whole ceremony for releasing 2023. I pulled a 4-card spread, and the tool was the kiss, which is the same energy of the intimacy. It's that kind of tantric energy. It's that spark and magic that comes up from an energetic place that's not about sex, but it's about communing. The alchemical wedding is a radical act of presence and acceptance. Do something spontaneous today without rules, books, spreadsheets, social media, or schedules. I friggin' love it. Witness the journey of a fellow alchemist. Celebrate and congratulate them. The alchemical wedding is not about you. This is the key to alchemy. Okay, this is so friggin' magical, because it's also the vibe that I'm feeling is about, you know, even for myself in my own, I haven't done my whole goal planning session yet for the year, but one of my goals is to be more available for my clients and to help create community in the spaces on, you know, Instagram and in person, like online and in person, to help create more community and to focus more on the why of what I'm doing and supporting people rather than like the end goal, because that doesn't matter. You know, it's like, yes, I have to make money and I'm running a business, and also it's about the people, it's about the community, it's about the connection, and all of that also feeds me. All of that also supports me. And so think about that in your own life. This card is saying honor someone else, value them, thank them for the gifts that they've given to you in your life. And I think that goes back to this sense of the way that we measure love and we measure the giving and taking within relationships. You know, oftentimes we can withhold because we're afraid we won't get love or connection in equal or greater value back, but it isn't by withholding that someone gives something to you. When you withhold, the other person wants to go away because you're not there, you're not offering anything. When you give, when you offer, when you move with an open hand and let love and magic and vitality and sharing and passion and creativity and all of it, when you just let it flow out of you, you get nourished back by the simple act of giving and sharing. And we really get in our own way, I think, when we measure that and go, well, that person hasn't given me back that much, or this thing hasn't given me back. The question more is, are you being nourished by your own actions? And if that's true, keep doing what you're doing. And if it's not, then that's the time to shift. But it doesn't have to do with other people. And I know for me, whenever I've had a period or a situation where I feel like I'm withholding my love or I'm withholding giving my spirit freely, I'm the one that suffers, not the other person. It's that saying of like, you know, drinking poison and hoping someone else is going to die. Like that's what withholding is. It doesn't benefit you or anyone, and it just makes you suffer. So anyways, I love you. If you have any questions, please write it in the comments. I'm happy to answer anything. Go check out that Word of the Year spread. It's my favorite thing. You just pull one card in the center for your card of the year, and then you make a clock from 12 o'clock back to 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock to 12 o'clock for your months. And it's a beautiful, beautiful practice. It helps you drop in. And then, like I said, Friday, we're doing Word of the Year collage. So you can bring your word or not bring your word. It's all on Zoom, so it's super easy. It's recorded if you can't make it live. So we'll start our books there. And the only tools that you need for intuitive collage are magazines, scissors, glue stick, markers, and paper. And that's it. And if you want to do a book with us for the whole year, join the Wild Moon community, or you can come to individual gatherings, and you'll have a whole book at the end of the year. It's so super cool. All right. Love you. Sat Nam.